Thank you, and my name is Neil Strong, and I am a Biodiversity Strategy Manager with Network Rail, and I'm going to talk to you today about how Network Rail is looking to move its rail lines and align them with the B lines. I'd also like to thank my colleagues in the Accelerated Leader Programme, Jess, Hannah, Chloe, Jen, Richard and Rachel for giving me this opportunity to talk to you, and also to Buglife for the opportunity to talk about B lines. Network Rail, for those of you who don't know, is the rail infrastructure operator across the whole of Britain, and these are just some numbers that just give you an idea of the extent of what our network covers. It's 52,000 hectares in size, which if you squash it all together, you end up with something about the size of the Isle of Wight and a half. And on that land, we've got around 21 different habitat types. There's about 20% woodland cover. And there's 7 million neighbours who back up onto our fence. And if you look at it a little bit further out, within 500 metres, there's 1/3 of the population of Britain. And so all those trevellisids and those rare bee species and butterflies that we have within 1 kilometre of the railway line, they're all something that we have really got an obligation to look after and to manage with colleagues across the 5 regions that make up Network Rail across England, Scotland and Wales. And in order to do that, to understand what sort of commitment we need to have to biodiversity, we've published an environmental sustainability strategy which outlines the targets of no net loss of biodiversity on the railway estate by 2024. And then the ambitious vision that we want to get to is that biodiversity net gain across the network by 2035. And to help us do that, we have our Biodiversity Action Plan. And within that plan, we're looking to manage our railway, our line-side estate, sustainably for safety and performance, but not only that, also for the environment, our customers and our neighbours. And as I mentioned, colleagues in the Accelerated Leaders Programme, they have worked with Buglife as part of that programme to assist Buglife in some project management issues and just to work with them to improve how Buglife is able to manage. They've looked at the railway estate, which you can see in that image there, showing the railway lines across England, Scotland and Wales. And they saw an opportunity with the B lines work, because as this map shows, those are the red B lines that we've heard about already during other presentations at the B-line launch. And you can see that they align in some places, and there's other areas like through the central part of Scotland where there's a railway line but there's no B-line. And they've seen that opportunity and looked to see whether Network Rail, with the way that it manages its estate, could actually assist the B-line programme. And they went to Norwich, they went to colleagues who are managing vegetation just outside of Norwich city centre, and there's work that was taking place there to reduce the risk to train operations during the autumn. Now, everybody will have heard of leaves on the line, but there's also quite serious issues with making sure that the people who are working alongside the tracks are able to see the trains, but also for the train drivers to be able to see those people. And so we need to make sure that whatever the vegetation is there, whether it's the trees or the shrubs, is managed to reduce that risk and to improve the safety that we have on the railway estate. And they looked at that particular section. You can see Norwich City just to the left of that image there, and those purple lines, this is the site of what is the first railway B-line pollinator project, and it was chosen because it's actually within some of the B lines that have been mapped out across the network, and you can see that that pollinator site is right in the middle of that location. And what the opportunity provides us with, this is part of that section. You can see those trees on the left hand side there, they're getting awfully close to the railway tracks. We need to make sure that they're managed appropriately. And you can see that point I've highlighted there, and you'll see this same signal in a later image. And you can see that tree next to that signal growing quite close to the signal. And obviously those signals are really important for train drivers to be able to see, to know how to drive the train through that particular section of track. And so what they've done at that particular location, and that red box shows you where that same signal is from a slightly different angle. And the vegetation there has been managed to remove those trees that were in the way, but also then the understory has been raked down from the top of that embankment and raked to the bottom of the slope, so that we can create habitat piles for other species, hedgehogs and small mammals to roam around in. And the area on the slope itself, once it's been raked, is then going to be sown with a sort of wildflower seed mix to then create that meadow environment that can be easily maintained It's not going to get in the way of the signals and is not going to affect the railway operations during the autumn. And what we're able to do using that particular location, we've also been working with the UK Centre for Ecology and Hydrology to collect new data alongside the railway. And this image here just shows a small snapshot of that same line in Norwich, where you can see that we've collected habitat information for a kilometre either side of the railway line. And it's that new information that then can tie in with, again, those same bee lines. And you can see that we've got that overlap, so we can understand the habitat types that are within those bee lines, but also we can see that there are opportunities for moving outside where the bee lines currently are, and then taking that and understanding what habitat management could take place in and around the railway lines where there isn't currently a bee line. And if you zoom in to the specific area that we looked at, where the mile-long site is within the outside of Norwich, you can see that there's those grey areas. Those are the urban environment that's been picked up by the satellite imagery, and you can see that actually there's none of the colours. The red is woodland, the yellow is marshland, and you can see that there's nothing but grey and black within that stretch along the railway line. And so there's a real massive opportunity here to actually introduce those species along that part of the railway, to start connecting those areas of woodland, to start connecting the areas of grassland in that particular part of that mile-long stretch just outside Norwich. And that is just 1 mile across a network of the railway in Britain, which is 20,000 miles long. That image there shows the bee lines across an area just in the Peterborough area. If I then add on to that the railway lines in that same area, you can see that the length of opportunity increases dramatically, where you've not only got the overlap between the existing bee lines and the railway, but also those areas outside of the railway and outside of the bee lines that we can start connecting up, driving that connectivity and providing those highways, those rail lines for the insects to move up and down. Thank you very much.